Hi everyone, Doug and Julie here with our 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E electric vehicle. You may have heard that Ford, along with a growing number of other manufacturers, will be switching from the current CCS-type charging plug to a Tesla-type plug, now known as NACS, or North American Charging Standard. This switch is scheduled for model year 2025 vehicles, but in spring, or maybe summer of 2024, we should be able to charge our Mach-E on a large number of Tesla Superchargers. The final details are still to be determined, but we understand we'll be able to get an adapter from Ford, or maybe Tesla, that will allow us access to something around 15,000 superchargers nationwide. After our last road trip, we're definitely looking forward to having more options for charging, especially if it proves to be as reliable as expected. But did you know that there are already some Tesla Superchargers that allow us to charge our Mach-E? Currently, a few dozen locations across the U.S. have something called a Magic Dock that works for Teslas as well as any CCS standard EV. All you need is an account with Tesla and the Tesla app. In this video, Julie and I traveled to Boardman, Oregon to experience this firsthand, show you how it all works and how it worked for us. Now, if you're asking yourself, where in the world is Boardman, Oregon? Don't feel bad. We had to look it up too, and we live in Oregon. Boardman is a rapidly growing community in northeastern Oregon along the banks of the Columbia River, about 160 miles east of Portland via Interstate 84. It is primarily an agricultural community, but is also a hub for transportation of manufactured goods. It seems an odd place to have Tesla Magic Dock locations until you realize it's an ideal charging spot for travelers heading to and from eastern Oregon, Washington, or Idaho. It's of course too far to be of regular service for us, but close enough to make a day trip out of it. So, on a chilly but beautiful late October morning, with a fully charged Mach-E, we headed out. From our house, Boardman is 175 miles away, easily reachable on a single charge if we wanted to. But since we didn't really know what to expect in Boardman, and any Plan B options in eastern Oregon are few and far between, we decided to make a stop just short of halfway to top off our battery. There is an Electrify America station at a Walmart in Hood River, so we plugged that into the GPS for our first stop. Interestingly, when we did that, our estimated range dropped from just under 300 miles to 274 miles. Not surprising, really. Temps that morning were in the high 30s, and we would be traveling at highway speeds. Throw in some gusty winds, and we would be facing a trifecta of range killers all day. But the sun was out, and once we were clear of Portland, we would have a beautiful drive along the Columbia River the whole way. A little over an hour into our drive, we arrived in Hood River for our first stop. If you've watched any of our other videos, you may remember Ford has a plug-and-charge program with Electrify America that allows us to pull up to any EA station and just plug in and it should start charging, without having to swipe a credit card or use an app. We thought it might be interesting to compare and contrast this ease of use with how easy or difficult using the Tesla Supercharger would be. Of course, Tesla owners can back into a Tesla Supercharger and just plug in and start charging. Easy peasy. But non-Tesla owners will have an extra step or two. So arguably, it's easier for us to use an EA station than a Tesla Supercharger. That is, if all the EA stations are working as they're supposed to be, and if they aren't already full. It's for these reasons that EA has developed a less than stellar reputation. And sure enough, this location had one broken charger. But we were still able to pull up to an open charger, plug in, and start charging. All was well, if a little slow because of the cold temperatures. Connecting still, processing, authorized. What does that say? Initiating?
Initiating charge.
And we're off. So, it worked as it's supposed to. We're getting a little speed, not a lot. It's alright. But we're working. Normally on a road trip, we only charge to 80% and move on, but today we just took our time, having a restroom break and a snack breakfast before moving on. We arrived with 74% on the battery and left with 88%. We plugged Boardman into the GPS and it showed 104 miles to go. With 254 miles of range left, we now had plenty of room for a plan B if something went wrong in Boardman. Spoiler alert, we wouldn't need it.
Turn right on I-84.
Heading further east from Hood River, the drive was all new to us. It takes us out of the greener Cascade Mountain Range and into a much flatter, browner land. But thanks to constant river views and the unique gorge geography, it was a beautiful drive. About an hour and 40 minutes later, we arrived in Boardman and made our way to the charge location. Where we parked made a difference if we didn't want to block any spots for Tesla users. More on that in a bit. Fortunately, the station wasn't busy and the ideal spot was open for us.
Great. So go all the way around and turn into the first one. You might want to swing.
This side or the other side?
Other side.
Other side, got it.
And you might want to swing right because you're going to pull into this first one.
The very first one.
Because you see where it's got a Tesla dock that's on our side?
Yep.
That's the one we want. Look at that.
And that will reach.
That should reach.
I don't need to go too far.
Yeah, I think you're good. Cool.
The charging process is pretty straightforward, but we had a couple of false starts. You'll want to set up a Tesla account ahead of time, which I had done. Once at the location, everything is run from the Tesla app. Charge your non-Tesla. And it has found our location. Boardman, Oregon. Scenic install available. Looking at 1A. Charge here, yes. Okay, your number. Okay. Lock it up, here it is. Thank you. Oh, lock that up. 1A. Push up. Since this was the first time charging, I had to input additional billing info on the spot, which was our first false start. But once that was worked out, it's simply a matter of selecting the specific charger by your car, waiting for the click, and releasing the magic dock by pushing up a little first, then pulling down. There we go. I heard it. Did you hear it click?
Yep, it clicked.
The magic of a magic dock is that there are essentially two plugs in one. Tesla owners can pull out the NACS plug and use it just as they would any other station. But for non-Tesla owners, there's also a CCS plug built into each station, effectively acting like an adapter that can be released using the app. But once pulled, this adapter is locked to the NACS plug, so no one can walk off with it. Our second false start happened when, once we pulled out the plug to charge, we realized we were parked too far forward for the cord to reach. I need you to back up a little bit.
Okay. Backing up.
Current Tesla Supercharger designs have very short cords. All Teslas have their charge ports in the same location, driver side rear. The Supercharger stations aren't designed for any other vehicles, so they don't need long cords. But now that they're being open for non-Tesla vehicles, this could cause some problems. More on that in a bit. For us, in this particular situation, we just needed to back up a couple of feet and we were good to go. Connection was very easy. The NAX connector with its built-in adapter was lighter than a typical CCS plug and easier to handle. The handshake didn't take too long, and we were quickly up and charging.
It's blue.
May take up to 2 minutes to start charging, it says.
Up here. Oh, it's revving.
78 kilowatts.
Nice.
Ta-da! Cool. From what we could tell, the charging speeds were pretty on par with what we get at our best EA charging sessions. Maybe a little less, but that could be because it was a cold day and we didn't do any kind of preconditioning of the battery before charging. But this brings me to my first real complaint. The Tesla Superchargers have no screens to tell you how it's going. If you want to know what speed you're charging at or what percentage your battery is, you'll have to check in on the app. Not a big deal, but we missed having a screen to quickly check the status of our charge. We could probably keep track through the car itself. I admit we didn't check this, but we like to get out and stretch our legs while the car is charging, so for us, it's pretty much the app or nothing. We arrived in Boardman with 44% on the battery, and 28 minutes later we were at 80%, so it was time to unplug. When unplugging from an EA station, we can stop at the charger itself, or just push the release button on the Ford and it will stop. With the Tesla station, we once again had to use the app, but also once again, it was very easy. We just tap Stop Charging on the app and release the plug by pushing on the top button on the adapter part of the plug. Snap the whole plug back into place and it's ready for the next user.
All done.
We added 36 kilowatt hours to our battery and we were charged $10.08. If my math is correct, that's only 28 cents per kilowatt hour, less than the 48 cents a kilowatt hour we paid at the EA station, and far less from some of the prices I've heard from more expensive states. Of course, electricity in Oregon averages only about 12 cents a kilowatt hour, but this was still a nice surprise. I can't wait to try some other Oregon sites to see if that's the norm or if it's a special price just for Boardman customers. So overall, I have to say this was a very positive experience, and I hope Tesla updates more of their locations with Magic Docks. We will be one of the first in line when the adapters come available in 2024, but having them built in means just one less step in the charging process. My hope is Ford and Tesla will work something out where owners with their own adapters will have some kind of plug-in charge to make it even easier. But either way, better days are coming for non-Tesla EV road trippers. Before we leave this location, I wanted to elaborate on the short cable problem. It's not really an issue of being able to plug in or not, but more of a parking problem. As mentioned before, these locations are specifically designed for Tesla owners to use. If you look at this image, you can see how this Tesla connects to a specific charger. You can imagine another Tesla in this spot that would plug into this charger. And if there were a whole line of chargers, this would just continue down the line. If a non-Tesla EV has a charge port in the front or rear of their car, they can also slot into the spots just like a Tesla and charge away. But those who have charge ports on the sides, like ours, can't use the same spots in relation to the charger. Many of the Tesla locations have one or two chargers that are posted at the side of the parking spot, like we found here. But if we wanted to charge in line, like here, we would have to park in this spot to use this charger, which would take that option away from a Tesla who might want to charge there. In essence, we take up 2 spots for every charger. If the location isn't full or especially busy, it's not a big deal. But as EV adoption grows, it will become a problem. Or maybe not. Tesla's newest supercharger version has longer cords which should reach all cars without a problem. But it's unknown if these will be placed only in new locations or if they'll also be retrofitted to existing locations. We're hoping for the latter. One more quick note. This location also had a few CCS charging stations. These were not Electrify America, but a West Coast network called EVCS. We have yet to use them as their chargers max out at only 50 kilowatts. And true to CCS form, one of these was out of service. But there was our plan B if something didn't work with the Tesla stations.
See ya, Tesla charge station. Thank you. See ya, EVCS. Thank you for nothing.
Before leaving Boardman, we stopped at the Two Barrels Tap and Grill inside the River Lodge and Cabins for lunch. It's a neat lodge with good food and great views right on the Columbia River. We recommend it if you're ever in the area. It certainly added to our enjoyable day. Since we made it to Boardman with 70% of our battery, we felt pretty comfortable heading home with 80%. With the very chilly morning, we only averaged 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour on the trip out, but warmer afternoon temps meant we averaged 3 miles per kilowatt hour on the way home, taking only 65% of our battery. For the whole trip, we averaged 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour and covered 349 miles on 135% of battery. So we charged twice, but only needed to charge once. So it goes. The rest of this video is our drive home. Feel free to skip it if you want, but you'll be missing some beautiful views of the Columbia River and Gorge. Either way, until next time, happy motoring!